We need to raise the standard and continue to raise the standard from the ground up.
Your past conditioning, your beliefs, you need to dump that and unlearn it and make room and opportunity for new stuff to come in.
If you're feeling that feeling at all within your gut, you need to go with it.
You have to have those people on your team who are willing to accept the change, because change is frustrating.
Welcome, everybody. I'm really excited about today's podcast. Thank you. This is episode 31, and we've got a couple of my favorite people in here. Ponce. He's become a really good friend of mine, but he's also worked with us for quite a while now over at NPP, and he's got such a cool story, very, very unique individual, and he is a true, bottom to the top type of guy. And I don't say bottom from, but from a labor up to, sales, estimating, doing tons of project management, and just a true leader within the organization. So I'm super happy to have him here. And I just, how's it been? How do you like being back to Colorado?
It's been great, man. It's been great. It's great to be back with you guys. To be honest, I miss the guys in the field as well.
You don't want to stay here?
We'll think about it.
You think about it?
Yeah.
All right. Your wife is going to hear this.
That's why I say we'll think about it.
Oh. Smart. So you started with us here in Denver, and then you took off to Arizona.
Yep.
And now you're back out here. But let's talk a little bit about kind of what your journey's been in paving.
Well, it's been very up and down sometimes, getting used to working seasonal as well. At first it was hard work for me, just trying to catch up with the physical shovel, kind of go get jobs like that, and I was not used to it at first. And then it was just came natural, came passionate about it, like let's get it right. And sometimes you can get a little bit slow on catching up with the people that have already the experience on the field, right? And you gotta change that as positive attitude, right? That's what I did. Actually, didn't know a lot, when I came. Well, didn't know nothing pretty much. So I changed that for just change my attitude, being positive, being fast, being like, hey, what do you want? What do you need? Being on top of what I was doing, and I think that helped a lot to catch up for sure.
That was one of the things too, is like your hustle in the field was high. It was noticed quickly by a lot of different people. And even though you didn't have experience, a lot of owners, managers, and leaders are just looking for the hustle, right? So it's like one of the things that you had mentioned is, like if they needed a stencil, because you started on the striping crew, right?
Yeah,
you were like, I'd run as fast as I could. I'd grab that stencil and I'd, just move quickly to help everybody bring the tempo up, and that's always appreciated. So what do you think made you?
Well, no, it was just trying to do my best effort possible. That's it. I mean, I really want to be a good asset for the team. And I apologize if my English is a little slow.
He's bilingual, but it's
trying to.
No, I think your English is great.
Yeah, you're great.
Hey, thank you.
Well,
trying. So, yeah. So it was just that trying to be an asset for the team, trying to be a team player. Trying to be a team player for everybody, and not just try to be part of the solution, I guess, and the completion of what this environment is all. It was just not striping, right? We were just the icing on the cake, but it was all this that I didn't understand at the moment. But now, being an estimation, it's like you need to be fast. You need to be this guy that solves the problem fast in order to be productive as a whole team, right?
For sure. So you've started on the striping crew as a laborer, worked on infrared, you've worked on the seal coat crew. You've been on the paving crew, got your CDL, can move any piece of equipment, and now you're estimating the work, you're closing the work, you're getting the customer side of things, you're project managing things, you're really starting to piece together the whole facet of what we do and why we do it, the numbers, the profit, and everything, which is it's really cool to see.
Yeah.
You know, it's really cool.
I mean, we sent you out to Arizona to start, essentially be the first boots on the ground guy out there, and you know that is an extremely tough and difficult market to get started, and you just embraced it. And the thing I noticed about you, man, is you're like fearless. You'll just go and send it and do whatever, man. I mean, a true like ride or die employee and asset to the team, because like Zach said, you can do it all. And you know, when we needed some help with the paving, moving some equipment, like you put your pride aside, even though you're estimating, you helped us out when we were in a pinch, and like just with no ifs, ands, or buts, and you offer that. So that's huge, man. We can't thank you enough. And like employees like that for people are so important, because it comes few and far between. I'd like to think we have a good group of people that are willing to go above and beyond to do whatever. But it's not, not everyone is. And so to have those guys is super important, man. But what would you say, coming from the field and then going to estimating, what were some big things you noticed with or some things that maybe opened your eyes?
Light bulbs almost?
Yeah, some light bulbs that opened your eyes.
Well, pretty much understanding in a deeper level business like that, it is just like so essential for me. Even just thinking back, like I didn't know all these numbers that came with just going and striping some parking lots, right? So now it's just like, okay, I get it. I know how scheduling can be part of essential of winning or even losing a job, or cutting even or something like that. So now understanding a little bit deeper those numbers is like I can throw those margins into a proposal, into an estimate, and say, okay, I need to get with the guys and say, hey, we need to start here and finish over here, and we need to do this on this pace, or we're gonna lose money. And making sure these guys understand this at that same level, I guess that makes you in a
That's perfect. I love that you said that. That actually brings up a question for me, because we're in an industry where typically nobody wants to share any numbers with the crew. They don't want to know. They don't want to share anything, right? I think we've been a little more open about that type of stuff. We've kind of preached it, and we push that out to where we let them know, hey, your crew costs you X amount of dollars per hour. So every time you guys are waiting on trucks, you're waiting here, or we're sitting around, this is how much money it's costing against the job.
Yep.
But what is your perspective on sharing that type of stuff with the crew? Do you think it's beneficial? Do you think it's not beneficial? Do you think it needs to be taken with a grain of salt and be very careful about how much you say? Or what are your thoughts on it?
Definitely you're gonna have to be careful in how you say it, pretty much. Make them understand that this is business, and then it's numbers, and we're gonna lose if we don't move, right?
Yep.
That's the priority. But you gotta be careful in how you say, like, you're not a number, right? Like,
right.
Guys out there in the field, they're not a number. They're humans. They get tired. They get they can just work a certain amount of time.
There's personal stuff that comes in.
Stuff,
yep.
All that stuff. So it's just how you communicate that with the people on the field. I guess that's the key. But it's yeah. I mean, I feel like it's very important. Even like having these guys understand that they can put in that extra effort, and they can move on. They can, like, if you work with us and at this level, you can keep growing in the company. Which that was one of my driven portions of like being part of the MPP.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I was working in my previous company. I'm not gonna say the name, but I told them, like, hey, I'm a foreman now, but my ultimate goal here is to be an estimator. And then they told me, hey, let's get you an interview, right? So I dressed up for the next day, man. I was like, oh man, I'm getting this interview, and then I sit with this high position guy, in the company, and well, the interview, long story short, interview just was for like 5 minutes, less than 5 minutes. He was like, let me just ask you a question. He write down in the board an equation, a mathematical equation, and like, can you solve that equation? I'm like, is that the equation we need to estimate? That was my question. Because if that's the equation, I'll learn it,
Yeah.
I'll learn it. And he's like, no, when you learn mathematics, you can come back. And I'm like, oh my God,
Are you
this
serious?
douchebag. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm like, I was so excited, dude. I was excited to be there. I was just like, oh my God, this guy's really think that we're a number. This guy really think that we're less than this guy. So I was just pissed, and that ended up not my career in that company, but I end up feeling bad working with them, feeling that way. And then when I jumped with you guys, and you guys invited us to MPP, from day one, we were part of the team,
Yeah.
and that's huge. So that way, feeling that way, of course I'm gonna move faster. Of course I'm gonna be, want to be part of the solution, want to be part of this, this whole MPP
That's
family.
Cool.
That's crazy, man. And that's bullshit what that guy did, man. And you know what? I think people indirectly or directly smack you in the face or disrespect you, but in the moment it seems not like it's not going to be in your favor, or that it's just a bad thing that happened to you and you have bad luck. But I truly believe that that is what fuels you. That's something else you can add to your resume there of why you do what you do, man. And for anybody who has guys that are willing to stick through and who want to grow to a position, that's the thing, is nobody is willing to teach and coach guys. I mean, you knew nothing about estimating, and this dude taught you the whole playbook on how to do it. And he's like, I mean, you've had plenty of conversations with me of like, dude, Ponce, like, he gets it, man. He's quick, he learns it, he estimates like I do. So anything is teachable. You just got to have the right person that wants to go and do that. So shame on that dude, but
yes, your want to learn is, I would take that over somebody who is brilliant and thinks they know too much.
Yep.
I think I had no idea about that, but I've had experiences like that. I've had experiences where people almost look at you, because I wasn't good in school. Like, I had bad grades. Just paying attention.
I can't imagine you in school.
Dude, I was literally like thinking, I'm like, okay, I got to read this book. And I'm like reading through the first like half page, and by like the second sentence, I'm like, what are we doing this weekend?
Yeah.
Like, it was like my mind was just consistently drifting off. And so, like, until you find something that you're driven or passionate about, it's hard to just nail in and focus in on that. And so that's, mathematics is definitely a part about estimating, but there's equations, just like you said, like, you'll learn them, and it's just part of the game. But I mean, shame on that guy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Let's
go find him.
Yeah, let's go find him. No, and I guess it's part of my story, like you said.
It's a blessing, yeah.
Yeah, it's part of my story. It's part of and that gave me the opportunity to be here. If I believe that nothing is a coincidence, and I believe that for me being rejected in that company made me. It was just one step for me to be here with you guys. And in this room, and so
sometimes one door closes and another one opens.
Yep.
And it's the right door that opens for you. So you never know.
What I love about you is like your Latin tie. You're tied to like the Latin community, but then also you've got all of this other stuff now with like when you're estimating. It's like you're talking to all different walks of life. So like your English has gotten so good, you can still communicate with the field. You understand like what people are probably looking for on both sides of the fence, and I think that's probably what a lot of people can read from you, why you're so genuine, authentic person, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, like the labor workforce here is predominantly Latin, from like the Latin community, and I think that's probably pretty similar throughout the country in a lot of different.
Every part of the country. I mean, that's us, you know, Latin people. It's out there in the field, you know, out there hustling. They're first guys on the war line, I guess.
The front line, right?
The front line. Yeah. So and then that workforce is basically Latin people, and it's crazy how we kind of be part of, like, essential part of all this community in this economy. In the economy. In the U.S. It's huge. Imagine, you know, like you were saying here, just a little bit. Imagine if Trump would have just say, hey, no more Latin people, no more undocumented people,
no more immigrants.
No more immigrants. Just send them over to Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, don't get me wrong, we're pretty Republican, not gonna lie, but you know, if Trump would have actually done that, been able to, if like everyone would have got deported, like his plan were to be, you know, the America construction infrastructure would collapse, man. I mean, it's
next day.
It would. It's just part of the game. And so what I want to know, from being from the Hispanic community, being in the field with the guys, like, what are some super important things to these guys that makes them tick and that makes them stick with companies or makes them want to grow?
Well, that's I don't know. It's different for a lot of people. You know, we, at the end of the day, we're different. Everybody's different, and everybody's. Some of them are family driven. Some of them are money driven. Some of them are just like, they just want to get to work and then pay at church, you know, 10% and then come back, you know. All that. Just circle.
Everyone's got different factors.
Different factors. But I guess if I would go with something in a specific, it's just that the treatment that people, the leadership are given to the labor force, for sure. Treatment, and that's. So I rather have a great boss to work with instead of a great company, right? Because now I have room to grow, you know. And if you give me room to grow, man, I'll grow.
Yep.
And I'll grow with the company. But this is another part of my life that I don't know if you know, but I used to work for Halliburton.
Yeah, oil.
In the oil industry, and it was just for a few months. But there, you don't even know the owner. You don't even know the guy on top of your boss. You know,
it's an endless.
Yeah, so chain. You got a lot of bosses right there, like endless amount of bosses that you don't even know, and they don't know you personally, so they don't know if you are feeling this way. So if you're feeling, you know, you have something going on in your family. So I believe treatment and getting a little deeper with the guys on the field makes them
develops loyalty, or
develops loyalty for sure.
An alliance, or like a respect towards
definitely man. And those little things that you know, here we go, gift card for turkey on, you know, Thanksgiving or whatever.
Stuff like that.
They give me a turkey.
hey, I don't know.
But it's the small things like that.
It's the small things.
Yeah, it is. Small things of gratitude. So it's not always a money thing. It's a respect. I
guess you said it.
Purpose.
Gratitude.
It's gratitude, and
I guess that is
which provides a purpose for people out in the field. Like you feel gratitude, you've got purpose. Like okay, cool. You know, I think people naturally want to provide, feel like what I did was great, like what I'm doing is good, and it's appreciated.
Yeah.
The appreciation, I think, is it can also go a long way. Sometimes people just need a thank you or I see you more than they need an extra $1 or 50 cents, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just throwing money at it. We're seeing more and more of these smaller, owner-operator companies, primarily the Hispanic ones that are just starting. The owners are also the foremen. They run the pavers, the equipment, and they got a couple guys that work for them. They don't really have any, back office infrastructure. They just kind of run a very small organization. Their whole goal is to just produce. Why do you think a lot of these companies, a lot of these guys, particularly the Hispanic guys, are starting to move towards their own companies instead of joining on other existing companies?
Well, money. I guess they want to.
It's the American dream, huh?
They want to build it. They want to make it. They want to at least try to see what's at least that can be part of one of my possibilities. If they told me that I'm gonna win, instead of $1 extra, I'm gonna win $1,000 extra, I'll say, ooh, at least I gotta consider it or put it on the table, right?
Yeah.
And these guys are just, and nowadays there's a lot of facilitations on getting their own companies and all that stuff. And I feel like being an entrepreneur, like these guys are just, it's not just for them to not to have a boss or not to be bossed around or whatever. They want to do it their way, and they want to go and yeah, it's a lot of pride too. Like, I don't want them to tell me how to do it, not what to do. People can handle that, but they want to do it their way. They want to do it like they want to.
So giving from like a coaching perspective, if you're in that field, it's like, okay, here's end destination. We want to get there as quickly as possible. Like, get it done.
Yep.
Type of stuff, rather than, hey, you need to go here, you need to make a stop here, and make sure that you do this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. As long as there's some checkpoints along the way, like give them the end destination along with like the requirements of what the project needs to have, and let them kind of do their thing with it. And as long as you get there, and I feel like there has to be a sense of being able to coach to a degree, no matter what. Like, I still want to learn on a daily basis, and I learn stuff from you, I learn stuff from Hayden, I learn stuff from books, and like I want to keep learning, because if I'm not learning, I'm going to stop growing. Mm-hmm. And I think being able to make sure that people are still coachable in that realm is important, like,
especially in the field. Yeah.
Especially in the field.
We just doing reviews with some of our supers and our foremen. They're telling me about guys that are asking questions, that are wanting to learn, and then there's other guys that are just like, they don't want to hear it. They just been doing it for too long. So it's hard to work with those kind of people, and those are the people you actually don't want, because every single company is going to operate differently, and if somebody isn't willing to accept their faults and where they may be missing or opportunities and room for growth, then you don't need to have them on their team. Mm-hmm. And that's why, sometimes bringing people in from an outside perspective who maybe haven't been doing asphalt for 20 years is going to make it a lot better to mold them to be who's going to serve you best in your company.
Yeah. I believe in the field, and what I've learned, and there's an area of opportunity that I see, and this is just my perspective, because I love having a coach, having a mentor. I just need that in my life, right? Because I want to be good at something. I might as well have a mentor that already did it, right? Yes. Already have this career built. Yep. So the area of opportunity that I see is that we need a teacher on site. We need a teacher, man. Like, we have, in this case, Davey, right? He's one of the best paving guys I've ever seen, and we got it in this company, dude. Like we have him. His leadership is not yelling around. It's not having you go get it on the spot. That's not his type of leadership.
He's a servant leader.
He's a servant leader, but I know because he has taught me like a lot in this. You know, he even told me how to rake, how to grab a shovel, how to grab everything, because he's willing to teach you. But you gotta have a teacher right there, a teacher. But if you putting your teacher on operating a machine, you're gonna have your teacher here 10 step ahead, and then these guys that do want to learn back here trying to learn by themselves, they're not gonna learn, or they're gonna learn their way, and you're gonna end up having this problem later that you have this raker that thinks that knows how to rake and doesn't want to learn your way.
Yep.
So
yep.
I'd rather have a foreman on site that can be a working foreman for sure. I'd rather have him a little bit back in where he's not operating.
Yeah.
He's just like, I want you to do this. I want you to do that, and I want you to do it. And it's important to have somebody. Don't get me wrong. It's important to have somebody that yells around in the crew, because we get lazy, right? We're like, oh, damn, it's hot here.
That's gonna raise.
You need that energy sometimes. You
need to know how to motivate when you need to.
But if you have a guy that doesn't have that aptitude of being a
kind of go-getter
guy, but he's a great teacher, might as well have him teaching the people on site, and have somebody, have a labor leader that everybody, that foreman is going to say, hey, laborers, you're going to listen to this guy, all right? He's going to be the labor leader, I guess, or the
supervisor or whatever you want to call him.
Well, it's still going to be, it's under the foreman's orders, right? So it's under
like a lead.
He's the lead. He's gonna be my lead. You guys are gonna listen to him because he's the hustler. He's the pusher, right? But you got the teacher. You got a pusher and a teacher.
I like that. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
push.
Well, yeah, and finding a good. I'm sure every company out there experiences this. Finding the right person to lead your crews is very challenging, because it takes so much attention to detail. It takes personnel management skills. It takes the knowledge of the job skills. It takes empathy, but also having the cojones to pretty much tell these guys what's up, and if they're slacking or falling behind. So really trying to find that mold of the right foreman or guys who are going to be out there making your jobs, productive and profitable is very challenging. So, but I agree. There's the guys got to be. The problem that I see is there's so many guys that do get put in the foreman positions, and it's just no different than a great salesman getting moved to sales manager. Sometimes the best equipment operators aren't the best leaders, and sometimes. Sometimes the best salesmen are not going to be the best sales managers. So it takes a completely different skill set. And your goal as a foreman or as a superintendent when you're leading your teams is not to have the most knowledge on the crew. It's to be able to motivate, strategize, and get your guys to respect you enough to follow direction, but also you're giving them the education, training, and coaching that they can go and do it without you being there. And that's it. And so the biggest problem is there's guys that hang on to so much knowledge in their head, and they think it's a burden to stop and slow down and coach, coach their crews on how they think jobs should get done, or getting ahead of these jobs. Getting your sit down pads set up while they're pulling the pass. Like, there's so much stuff that people think is a burden to stop and slow down and spend 5 minutes, or even just we'll say the longest, a week, and coach them on why. That's that little bit of time that they're going to stop and take to do that could make their job so much easier. And I had to have a conversation with our superintendent on that, because it's the same thing. He's like, well, he just doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to do this. He doesn't know how to do that. And you kind of got to know that to run a skid in this industry. I'm like, well, have you ever showed him how to do it? Have you ever told him how to do it?
Yeah.
And so it just holds you. They pigeonhole themselves into getting, they're so damn busy. They pigeonhole themselves, but they don't ever slow down to speed up. We talk about that a lot.
Yeah,
that's it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Telling them why, and then why this is important and how it's going to affect X, Y, and Z, like right afterwards. Because if you don't build this, you don't do it this way, then 3 steps down the line, we feel it over here.
Yeah.
I think
you gotta be able to, do it yourself, because you're gonna show them how to do it.
Yep.
And then you're gonna have them do it with you. They're supervising, and then you're gonna have them do it without you, and then that's it. That's how they learn. That's how they go.
Gotta teach them how to fly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's no different than that's how companies scale. It's just like any hierarchy infrastructure. You have different tiers and hierarchies, but the leaders of departments or companies always, you leverage and build teams in order to operate without needing them to be part of the day-to-day stuff. That's how you scale and grow.
Yep.
So as a leader, to scale and grow, to have more time to be able to be proactive and look at jobs, a week ahead, so you know what's coming up instead of taking jobs day by day, you have to start setting yourself up and training your guys to get to that point. So it's going to take extra effort and extra time. Not everybody's willing to do it, but that's how you get it.
And if you get somebody that unfortunately jumps out of the crew, whatever, he wants to go, you got to start all over. But it's a circle. You have to do it. You have to do it. It's a nonstop game.
I think if you talk with your crews and you figure out what they're really looking for, like everyone's got a goal or a passion or a burn. So they might not have goals, but they would have like a burn as to why they're doing something, and you can almost piece it together. Like, okay, what does the future look like for you down the line? And like, if you invest the time to get to know them and help them get to those points, like you can either partner with them at some point, or you can grow with them. They can grow within your organization, but they can always be a resource for you. But you just got to take the time to slow down, listen to what they're saying, and get to know them a little bit.
Yeah,
that's huge.
Yeah.
And what I noticed, man, is like even with our interviews, so like part of our questions, like when we bring guys in to interview, we have a list of questions. We'll ask them obviously their experience and stuff, but when we start asking them a lot of like the deeper questions, like what motivates you, what's your strengths, what your weaknesses, I guarantee you 99% of other companies don't ask that to the guys that are coming into the field, because every time we ask it to them, it's almost kind of like we catch them off guard, and they're like,
it takes a minute for it to register.
Family?
Like,
That wasn't in the guide. I thought that was not going to be in the test.
Yeah, right?
Come on.
So it's interesting how, and I think it's like, I think it is all how you look at your labor force, man. I mean, a lot of companies just look at these labor guys and like, how much experience do you have? How good are you at operating the skid? Do you, can you lead a crew? And that's about as deep as it goes. But really getting to know these guys, like, and what makes them tick, and what's more personal than professional, because professional anybody can teach and coach and show up, but what keeps loyalty, what keeps guys here around is the relationship part of it. Yeah. Like, we got guys who told us flat out, yeah, we've been offered plenty of times more money, throughout the years, but you guys treat us so well, we couldn't leave you hanging. We've been through, hell and back with you guys.
Feels like it's your baby too.
It is, man.
Like,
I mean, it's 100%. You don't want to like let it down, but it's because we've built such a strong relationship over years. Yeah. And even that takes sometimes going to the Mexican bar with them and having a beer with them at the end of the day.
How do you know, man?
I've done that a couple times. But it's really investing more into your crews, because really without them, like, this doesn't happen.
I agree.
We can sell all the work we want, but we could obviously sub it. But if you're taking the step to where you want to build a company that has its own crews, own equipment and stuff, that is probably the most important part to figure out.
It's the lifeblood behind
it is
everything.
The lifeblood.
Yeah,
Yep.
For sure.
Yep. Sales are great, but if you can't go and produce and you don't have good guys to go produce it, then it doesn't matter how much you sell.
Yep.
Definitely.
So,
Agree.
what's the future hold for you, man? What's the next 5 to 10 years look like?
5 to 10 years?
Yep.
I'll be a millionaire. That's what I'm gonna be.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Come on.
He called it.
Hopefully we got
Serious?
play in that story, you know.
No, man. I mean, as far as the sky can go, man. I mean, learning this industry, when I grow with this industry, I told Zach, you know, like, hey, I want to be part of the team, part of the MPP. That means Colorado. That means Arizona. I want to be part of it. That's all I want to. You know,
That's
I
awesome.
want to see that going on, and you know, we all have another passions for sure, personal passions, like, you know, soccer, I guess. You know,
Yes.
for me, singing.
Yeah,
For
Ponce says
me-
you got some-
I'm gonna put you on the spot later, so get ready and think about it.
Okay.
You're gonna close us out. You're gonna serenade us.
Tomorrow in the next podcast.
The
Don't
next
forget,
week.
don't forget the next podcast.
Yeah,
Same
next
channel.
week. Yeah.
Next week.
Like, subscribe. But,
Yeah.
all right, so
Yeah.
pursuing other passions, is that what you said?
Yeah. I
Okay,
mean,
along
it's,
with growing here.
definitely. And I'm a family driven guy. You know me.
Yeah.
You know me, and for me, it's just keeping my family safe, keeping my family with all they need, and that's all, man. I mean,
Nice.
yeah.
I love that. You know, he got to spend some time with my dad out in Arizona when we went down there, and my dad called me right after. He's like, "Man, I love this guy. He's so awesome." He's like, "But let me tell you something. His family is everything to him, and make sure that you guys are always considering that
Yeah.
when you're working with him." And you know, I want to make sure that we do, and I always want to be respectful, because that's number one. That's the purpose behind everything else.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
So-
and like I told you the other day, man, like your wife and your kids made a huge sacrifice for you to be away from them, and so, you know, from Zach and I and the company to them, like, we appreciate them as much as we appreciate you, because that's a lot of sacrifice that they've had to go through in order for you to be here to help us out.
She's
So,
the real MVP.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're all right.
Yeah, you're an MVP, Kelly.
Shout out, yeah. So, all right. Well, I think that's a good episode, man. We
Yeah.
appreciate you coming on and hopping on here, and this is your first podcast under your
Yeah.
belt, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hey, man, you got a microphone in front of you. Just bust a note or two.
Yeah.
Come on.
You gonna do it?
Give me something like Vicente Fernandez.
Oh my God, we said well, you gotta get the mariachi then.
Come on, man. You can do it a cappella. Give me some. Not on the spot?
Not on the spot.
Okay.
Oh,
Fair enough. You guys are going to have to buy the album when it comes out.
Yeah.
We'll,
Hey, you
we'll
gotta
make
pay
sure to
for it.
promote it.
All right. That was episode 31 of the Apps and Asphalt podcast with Ponce De Leon.
Hey.
See you guys next week.
See ya.
See ya.